Then something I never expected happened. Jordan messaged me. I saw the video. I saw both of them. And I don't care what you used to be. I care about who you are when you laugh. When you draw. When you look up at the stars. He signed it. Still your friend. If you'll let me be more than that someday. But even as the dust began to settle, one message changed everything. From an anonymous account. No subject line. Just a single sentence. You should ask your mother about the missing file in her locked drawer, the one labeled Trial 002. The message wouldn't leave my mind. Ask your mother about the missing file. Trial 002. The number stuck in my brain like a splinter. Because I knew what it meant. If I was Trial 001, then someone else came before me. Someone who might have been part of the same twisted project, or worse, a failed version of it. That night, while Mom was asleep, I crept into her office. I'd memorized her filing system from years of watching her organize our entire lives with ruthless precision. Top drawer, financials. Second drawer, medical research. Bottom drawer, personal. Locked. But I had Brianna's duplicate key. She had left it under my jewelry box, just in case. Click. The drawer groaned as it opened. Inside, in the very back, was a folder with no name on the tab, just 002 in faded red ink. I sat on the floor and opened it. What I found inside made my heart stop. Photos. Medical scans. School transcripts. Psych evaluations. All belonging to someone named Evelyn Kincaid. Born 6 years before me. Assigned male at birth. Diagnosed with acute gender dysphoria at age 9. Began hormone supportive therapy under the guidance of Dr. Mercer and Dr. Rebecca Winslow, my own mother. But the final report was what shook me most. Subject exhibited rapid identity formation consistent with protocol objectives, but developed severe emotional dissociation and distress after 18 months of social integration. Terminated involvement in program voluntarily at age 15. No further contact maintained. Subject left no forwarding information. Presumed lost to follow-up. I stared at the last sentence. Presumed lost. What does that even mean? Had she run away? Detransitioned? Worse? And why had Mom never told me? Was it guilt? Or was she hiding something she knew I'd one day ask? I didn't sleep. The next day, I confronted her. Again. I know about Trial 002, I said, dropping the folder onto the table like a weapon. Her lips parted, but she said nothing. She was like me. And you let her vanish. She left, Mom said. She wasn't like you. Evelyn had no support. Her parents rejected her after the truth came out. They treated her like a freak. And what did you do? She looked down. I let her go. My hands shook. You don't get to do this to people and just forget about them when it gets hard. She begged me not to interfere, Mom whispered. She told me if I tried to reach her again, she'd disappear forever. And you listened? I respected her choice, she said softly. The one I never gave her in the beginning. That was when I realized something. Mom was afraid of me becoming Evelyn. That's why she hovered. Controlled. Steered every moment of my transition. It wasn't just to shape me, it was to prevent another tragedy she blamed herself for. But in trying to protect me, she had done the same thing all over again. I needed answers from the only other person who might have them. Dr. Mercer. I sent him one message. Where is Evelyn? He responded instantly. Not safe to talk here. Meet me. One last time. The following evening, I met him in the same place as before, the old observatory. Only this time, I brought Brianna. Dr. Mercer wasn't alone either. Standing next to him, with auburn hair cut short and a hoodie 2 sizes too big, was a girl who looked like she hadn't been touched by sunlight in years. Her eyes met mine, and she flinched like seeing me hurt her. This is Evelyn, he said quietly. I took a step forward. You're real. She smiled sadly. So are you. They tried to make me forget that. We sat. The 4 of us. Truth unraveling between us like thread pulled from an old sweater. Evelyn told us how she ran the moment she realized she wasn't living her life. She was living someone else's experiment. She'd survived by becoming invisible. Shelters. Fake names. But she never stopped watching from a distance. "You were the first one I saw who looked free," she said, eyes on me. "And I wanted to warn you, before they turned you into me." I cried then, because I realized something I had refused to admit until that moment. I wasn't the only one they had rewritten. I was the only one who made it through. "Why no?" I asked Evelyn. "Why come out of hiding?" She looked at Brianna, then at me. "Because someone's trying to do it again. There's a trial 003. And this time, it's not just one kid, it's a whole clinic. A whole system. And Mom? She was listed on the board of the medical nonprofit behind it." When Evelyn said the words Trial 003, the air felt like it vanished from the observatory. I wasn't ready to hear it. I had finally started to believe I was healing, making peace with how I got here. But now I knew someone else was about to go through the same thing. Or worse. "What clinic?" I asked her, my voice shaking. She handed me a manila folder. Inside were names, emails, internal memos, an innocuous-sounding nonprofit, the Bloom Project. Their mission? Youth mental health and identity alignment. But buried in their budget records and medical correspondence were keywords I recognized all too well. Protocol redesign, Phase 3. Candidate selection through fertility banks. Guardian consent not required if child is state ward. My skin crawled. They weren't just doing what they did to me. They were targeting kids without parents. No one to fight for them. And Mom's name was listed in the margins of a signed approval memo. Dr. Rebecca Winslow, Program Advisor. I stared at the signature until my vision blurred. My mother, the woman who swore she just wanted to help me be whole, was helping replicate the entire experiment again, this time hidden under layers of philanthropy and academic jargon. And those kids? They wouldn't have someone like Brianna, or Sierra, or even Evelyn. They'd just vanish into a polished machine. Brianna was pacing, her hands in her hair. "We can't let this happen," she said. "I know," I whispered. "But how? If we go public, if we expose everything." She didn't finish. But I knew what she meant. If I speak up, my entire life becomes a spectacle again. The school, my future, Jordan, all of it on the line. Evelyn turned toward me. I tried to stay silent, Callie. I thought disappearing was safer. But silence didn't protect me. It just left me buried. That night, I sat in my room for hours, holding the Bloom Project file. I looked around at my world, my sketches on the walls, the lip gloss on my desk, the stuffed giraffe Jordan won for me at the fair. I had built this life brick by brick. But it was a house resting on a stolen foundation. If I didn't speak, I was letting the same thing happen again, to kids with no voice, no escape, no sister digging through locked drawers. So I made the hardest decision of my life. The next morning, I handed the file to a reporter from a national youth rights watchdog, someone Evelyn had trusted from her own past. Then I posted one final video to my page. "Hi, it's Callie again. I know I've told you my story. But what you didn't know is that I wasn't the first. And I'm not the last. There's a program. It targets vulnerable kids. It changes them before they ever know who they are. It's wrapped in good intentions, but buried in secrets. Today I'm telling the truth. Because if I don't, no one else will. And if I lose everything for this, at least I'll know I did it for the right reason." The story broke within 48 hours. It exploded across the internet. The Bloom Files became a trending hashtag. National reporters picked it up. Protesters showed up outside the clinic. And then came the headline that hit home hardest. Dr. Rebecca Winslow suspended pending investigation into unauthorized pediatric trials. I didn't see Mom for 2 days. When she finally came home, she didn't say a word. Just sat across from me at the kitchen table. Her eyes were hollow. "You destroyed everything," she said. I swallowed. "No, Mom. You built something that looked like love on top of control." I just finally told the truth. Her face cracked. And for the first time, I saw real fear in her eyes, not of me, but of losing what little she had left. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt free. Not because I'd won anything, but because I'd finally chosen me, not the version they built or the story they wrote. Later that week, Jordan found me behind the school theater, sketching. "I saw the news," he said. I looked down. I understand if you don't want. He sat next to me. I do. And I'm proud of you. You're not scared of what people will say? They've always had something to say, he shrugged. But you? You say something worth listening to. Then he reached into his backpack and pulled out a necklace, a small charm shaped like a mirror. For the girl who found her own reflection, he said. I cried. Because for the first time in my life, those tears weren't about what I had lost. They were for what I had chosen and who I had become. 3 weeks after the Bloom Project scandal went public, I stood in front of a school auditorium full of strangers, students, teachers, reporters, parents, and gave a speech I never thought I'd be brave enough to deliver. Not about transition. Not about scandal. About truth. My name is Callie Winslow. Not Caleb. Not Trial 001. Not a mistake. I used to believe my life was something others had written for me, my mother, a doctor, a stranger I'd never met. But the truth is, it doesn't matter how I got here. What matters is who I choose to be now. This is not just a story about identity. It's about agency. And every kid, every human, deserves to be the author of their own story. The room went silent. Then applause. Not thunderous, not cinematic. But real. It wasn't a victory lap. It was a beginning. Mom didn't attend. She was still under investigation, her license suspended, her research ties severed. Last I heard, she was consulting lawyers and trying to save what was left of her career. But she sent me a letter. Not an email. Not a text. A real, handwritten letter. Callie, you were never supposed to be a project. I convinced myself I was helping you because I couldn't bear to see you struggle. But I see now I caused the struggle. You didn't become brave because of me. You became brave despite me. And for that, I am both proud and sorry. I didn't write back. But I kept the letter. Brianna got accepted into a graduate program in social work. She's now building a platform that fights against unethical youth experimentation and medical overreach. And Evelyn? She moved in with us for a while. Quiet at first, always lingering near the door like she was ready to disappear again. But little by little, she warmed up. One night, we sat in my room, drinking tea and painting our nails. You're the version of me I never got to be, she said. No, I told her. You're the version I learned from. And we both deserved better. She smiled. I think we're finally getting it. Then came the envelope. No return address. Inside, a medical folder. Lab records. Blank consent forms. And one note. Trial 003 was never completed. You stopped it. But the real war is just beginning. If you're ready, we'll be in touch. RM. Dr. Mercer was gone. No one could trace him. The Bloom Project collapsed, but some suspected another version was already forming under new names, new faces, new front groups. But this time, they'd have me watching. Jordan and I stayed close, no labels, no pressure. Just understanding. Just trust. He was the first boy who saw me as more than what had been taken or altered or rebuilt. He saw Callie, not the experiment. Not the result. Just me. Now, when I look in the mirror, I don't see confusion. I don't see a lie or a loss. I see someone who was created without permission, but found her own voice anyway. I see a girl who burned the old script and wrote her own name at the top of a blank page.